I'm Michael Ryan. I run a brand consultancy called Evye LLP. We work a lot with startups and SMEs, like next generation SMEs, where we help them to develop a brand strategy, and that applies to their marketing and their promotional materials as well. I was giving a workshop once with during the COVID times, and it was for this group of people who were they were marketers, but they wanted to skill up and digitize. And I think the idea behind that workshop was that marketing is evolving because of digitization, the new social media and all these aspects. And what struck me with that class was that these veterans in marketing who were in the time of print, in the time of radio, they all said something at the end of the session, which was that none of the core principles of marketing has changed. But what they've learned is that the tools and the mediums, only that has changed. So I think if you're a marketer and you're very, very grounded in your core values, the core principles of marketing, any of these new tools and media that come about, and I think recently, we all know about the Apple's spatial computing. I think that's going to open up a whole new kind of medium for advertising and marketing. And all these things may be new, but the principles remain the same. So in the past 3 to 5 years, I would say principles have not changed. It's only the tools and the mediums. Yes, I absolutely think there is a difference between brand marketing and performance marketing. Now, but before we go into that, we need to understand what these actually mean. So brand marketing is not branding, but rather it's marketing to the brand. And performance marketing is marketing with metrics and KPI in mind. I mean, that's of course a very shallow definition, but that's basically how it goes. Now, why there's a difference? Well, for brand marketing, you're focused on marketing your entire brand, your entire business as itself. Not so much on the products, not so much on the individual services that you offer. But for performance marketing, you're talking about, okay, how does this product perform? And if it's performing well, you keep it up. And if not, some of them can be ruthless and you just cut it out and you shift. That's why you've got A/B testing, you've got all these different metrics. A key thing for marketers to know is that, well, for brand marketing, it's very, very difficult to measure. And for performance marketing, it's all about measurement. And sometimes it comes down to this, which is between having something that is more long-lasting, which is brand marketing, as opposed to something that's instantly gratifying, which is you can immediately see results. A lot of times we lean towards performance marketing, but you cannot ignore brand marketing. Better balance. I think that, first of all, presupposes that there is an imbalance. I believe that in this age, brand marketing and performance marketing, actually the line between the two is blurred. What's happening is that a lot of people think that, I have to measure everything. And therefore they think that, brand is not important. But the thing is, every single message you send out, every single ad you post, every single A/B test you do, that affects your brand because that's what people see. That's what people, that's where the eyeballs land. And whether or not they care about the brand or they care about that particular ad, they're going to create an impression. And if you're not careful about what we're testing and what we're putting out, and even, like some people will say, let's just test every possible scenario and let's see what works. There's a high chance that some of those may not be aligned with your brand values at all. So why would you even test that? Why would you even do that? So I think, it comes down to, in a very, very simplistic terms, before you do any KPI or pushing, you start thinking, rather use brand marketing or brand principles as a filter before you even proceed to do any of these performance activities. I have mentioned, and I'm a strong advocate of not, siloing yourself as a brand marketer or a performance marketer, but rather combining yourself to always think, whether you're in performance or data focused or you're creative and brand focused, you should think of yourself as a brand performance marketer. That means all your performance work is in service of the brand. Rather than starting with the performance mindset, I would advise retailers to think about brand first. What is your brand? Who are you? And I think a very good example or a test for everybody is to imagine that you are an owner of a hotel, all right? And you ask yourself, if my brand were to run that hotel, what would it be like? What would our customer service be like? What would the rooms look like? All right. And for example, if I mentioned Apple is going to launch a hotel, you have a very clear idea what it's going to look like, right? Because their brand is so strong. But if you ask yourself, what does your hotel look like? And if you're not sure, that's where you need to ask yourself back again. You know what? Maybe you need to strengthen the brand. Okay, so with that in mind, then you look at your performance. So let's say, okay, I want to push my product or my service to people that align with my brand core. And sometimes it takes a lot of courage to do that, because if you're going to align one side, you may alienate another group of people. The thing is, most of the time marketing, we think, we want to get as many numbers as possible. But the brand mindset is to say, that's okay, that's fine. And even a brand, the world's most valuable brand, Apple, they've got haters as well. For myself, okay, so a lot of times I believe brand is a very emotional and a very intimate element of any business. So it goes down to the founders, it goes down to the leadership of the company, and it's very personal almost. So a lot of times, right, the way I measure the brand success, the brand value, is how they personally feel it. I can't put it in numbers, but I can do it and I can measure it through the feedback that they receive. So I have had some clients who have undergone a brand change or a brand realignment or brand strengthening exercise, and they come back and say, you know what, the way the clients talk to me, they can feel a different level of respect, they can feel a different level of trust. And from there, you ask your data people or your to start measuring how many of these comments are coming out, or what has changed in the kind of feedback that you have received. And that's how you measure it, in the short term. In the long term, you will start seeing it in terms of a multiplier effect. So let's say if you're putting in X amount of money to advertise and you're getting a Y amount of returns, you start realizing that for that same amount of X, you're getting a lot more Y. Or you can actually reduce your advertising spend and you're still getting the same level of returns. And that's because the strength of your brand has led to, organic influence and organic reach. Brand is tied very, very closely to industry and also market niche and people, because again, like I mentioned before, it's a very personal thing. So it's personal to the leadership of the company, it's also personal to the customers. So in the medium term, the way I see being top of mind is not to try too hard to fight against others already in the market, because the thing is, if there are already strong brands in the market, people are going to be loyal to those brands. They have built that loyalty. Why not think about carving your own niche and your own loyalty amongst a group of... Now, some people will say that, all these markets are already saturated, but you can be very creative about this. And I do have some examples which I don't have time to share now, but a lot of times, you have to think out of the box. So to use an example, let's say a healthy sports drink right now that's using real pure organic ingredients. Most of the time you will feel like, let's target other sports drinks, or let's compete against other healthy things, healthy organizations out there. But the thing is, you are fighting against a very saturated market. Instead, a brand thinker will be thinking, what kind of people will want a healthy sports drink? And you may want to target people who are in yoga studios, or fitness instructors, or fitspo people, things like that. It's opening a whole new market for yourself, and then entrenching yourself in that space, and having the courage and I guess the tenacity to realize that you may alienate some people, and that's fine, because by doing so you have carved a niche for yourself. I think it comes down to knowledge and being fully aware of not just trends, but historical traditions as well. So there's trend and tradition. And I think brand marketers are always stuck with tradition, about building things long term, whereas performance marketers are always about trend. Well, why can't both be, uniform and united together? So the way I see it is to have very, very open mind from both perspectives and both sides of the fence, and come together. Again, I did mention that it's the blurring of lines between the two. I would say eliminate that line altogether. Become brand performance marketers. Think about performance in service of your brand, and that's how you split up the two. I think a very good example of a brand that has utilize brand performance marketing very well is New Balance sneakers. So in the sneaker market, when I mentioned, all right, are you wearing a sneaker right now? Top of mind would be Adidas, Nike, these brands, because, well, their marketing is very strong. But New Balance has traditionally been, number one, the original or the earliest sneaker brands. And they've built a reputation for being the most comfortable sneaker brands. I mean, when you think of a sneaker shoe, you think of it as a very comfortable shoe. And with trends changing in these days to athleisure, which is where you focus on comfort, you focus on just being comfortable in whatever you're wearing. What comes top of mind is not Adidas, it's not Nike, but actually New Balance, the original comfortable sneaker. And in the past year, I think they've got revenues of over 5 billion. I mean, 5 billion revenues, and it's increasing, and it looks like it's projected to double in the next year, and they've become a lot more on trend. In fact, I do know that there are stars and celebrities in Hollywood who are wearing New Balance sneakers as opposed to Adidas or Nike. And how did that happen? It's because New Balance has always stuck to that core value of building the most comfortable, highest quality sneakers. And I think by having that courage, even though in the face of Adidas, in the face of the Nike Jordans, they stuck to that message. And that's how I feel. It's a very good example of, when the trend changes, their tradition has actually given them an edge. Number one, meeting the high level of people, that high level of delegates, speakers, and attendees at the event. And the second one is I just absolutely love the way it's been organized. The first one, the high level kind of people here. Well, I learn a lot, and I get to network a lot. And I think, if for anyone attending eTail, you come with an open mind and you hear things that you thought you knew, but you realize that there's a different perspective. And that leads you to do more things for your clients or for your customers after the event. The second thing, of course, the way it's run. I absolutely enjoy the very open nature of it, the very friendly and very facilitative nature. It's so easy to meet people that you want to meet. It's so easy to connect with people you want to meet and find them. And then, of course, follow up as well. So it's a fantastic event. I enjoyed myself. I've always been a very strong supporter of the eTail events, and I look forward to many more to come.